you know, since the days of the Celestial Steed, we've seen, you know, microtransactions and outside transactions enter the game. Some people say that was the day the game died. I don't think it's that serious. Now, if WoW ever trends to a spot where, you know, you can literally buy gear, that might be a problem. Now, there are ways to buy WoW tokens, transfer things, do a bunch of shit that you can literally buy gear off the auction house, but still, the best gear in the game is gotten in the game. And that's why I still think WoW is okay. But how microtransactions hijacked the soul of MMORPGs, even though WoW is okay. Is it soul dead? Is it soulless? Let's see what Mad Season Show has to say.
MMOs, since their inception, have existed to make money.
Yeah, of course.
Is something that someone who has no idea what they're talking about says. No, their origins lie in the dark times, where computers were made of stone and were powered by hamsters, and the internet...
He just shit-talked me because I agreed with him. But, I mean, obviously, today's MMOs are made to make money. Yes, if he wants to talk about the OG MMOs, yeah, they were made out of a passion project because people just wanted to live out a fantasy on the internet.
Was a series of cups attached to strings. A time before computers and the internet were for mainstream normies.
That meme.
And were used not for video games, and not even pornography, but instead education.
Alex Straza.
Yeah. The internet, as the public knew it back then, was mostly restricted to college universities and primarily served an educational purpose. And when these students weren't busy studying, they were just lackadaisically birthing the origins of what would become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Specifically, two men, Richard Bartle and Roy Trubshaw, are credited with creating the first form of the MMORPG, the multi-user dungeon, or MUD. Aptly named, these were dungeons that were experienced by users, multiple of them, and though they were text-based, they shared design elements that were fundamental to the genre, such as dungeons, multiplayer gameplay, character progression, and
there is a large communal meeting room. It appears directly. It sounds like an orgy. Partially collapsed and dangerous. Okay, so this was like a story. This was like a choose. You guys ever read those books, like the choose your ending, where like you decide what you're gonna do next, and then you say, okay, I want to jump into that hole, and it says turn to page 58, and you can. That's what this sounds like. This sounds like one of those, or like you choose your own adventure. Exactly. That's what the first MMO looks like. It looks like a choose your own adventure book. That's funny.
And other similar RPG-like features. It was revolutionary, taking RPG lovers from their dank and dusty basements to their dank and dusty basements with a computer setup. Though quite archaic by today's standards, they share the same fundamental designs of any video game. You are offered obstacles and also satisfying ways to overcome those obstacles. And for the MMO, there's this dance of sorts between the developers and players because, of course, there's no finish line. When the players overcome these obstacles, new ones, and also more ways to overcome them must be created, or else interest wanes. So this concludes the history of the birth of MMOs. They were not being sold, there was no money to be made, and the primary goal was simply to create fun experiences. And it wouldn't be long that they had started to
isn't that how almost everything starts? You know, out of like, you know, some love project or something, and then money gets involved, and then it becomes corrupted. That's just a classic story. It goes beyond MMOs. That's like everything.
Popularity.
I'm sure medicine was originally created to medicate, right? To help people overcome sicknesses and things, and money got involved, and today the medicine industry is a completely corrupted fuck shit show. So it's just how everything works. Put money in it, it'll corrupt it. It's the void. Money is the void of real life. It's the void lords. You add it, it's corruption. It's like literally a corruption buff to anything that it touches.
Actually have graphics added to them. And then, of course, with any innovation, financial incentive lurked closely behind.
For years, video games have been a popular pastime for kids and adults. But a new generation of games is taking things to a whole new level.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time that the gaming industry was very small. Now it's bigger than the movies industry, right? But there was a time when it wasn't.
Happening right now on the net.
And this was that time.
Here with all
the early days.
Well, Jim, in the
The ways that developers monetize their games
Yeah, Big
is
Pharma gonna
a
shut me down.
heavily contested subject, as it has significant implications on their success or failure. You know, monetization of things just make me sick, almost as much as poorly groomed genitals. When's the last time you gave your jingle bells some TLC?
Oh, God, a
This
fucking
year,
ad?
It's time to deck the halls
Wow.
and your balls with the Performance
Wow, what a
Package
transition.
5.0 Ultra from Manscaped. Tame
I have
even
to
the
give him
most
credit. This was
unruly
a good one.
Christmas tree with its 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads for precision trimming and that super close shave.
Yeah, he did a
for
good
making
job.
your stocking stuffers look their best. It also has this larger LED spotlight, which is kind of like
14
Rudolph's
million
nose,
players in
but
Fortnite
for
watching
your
a
testicles
concert? What the
instead.
shit?
And it's also waterproof, so you can do your holiday grooming in the shower, because nothing says festive like cleaning up your own Yule logs while you shave. It comes with the Weed Whacker 2.0, which takes care of pesky nose and ear hairs. And after you've tidied the bush, you want to keep your baubles happy with the Crop Soother Aftershave Lotion and the Crop
Aftershave for your
Preserver
balls.
Deodorant.
Nice.
What a holiday miracle. No itching, no razor burn, just smooth bells jingling all the way. And don't forget the 2 free gifts, the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0 travel bag for stashing all of your tools.
Fantastic.
Use my code MSS20 to get 20% off and free international shipping, because if your balls could talk, they'd be singing carols right now. Anyways, a great game can be made poor
What a transition.
through a monetization model rife with predation bordering on scams, and developers, publishers, and consumers alike have collectively been working together and compromising and trying to find just the right way to fuck each other as hard as humanly possible.
Yeah, like one thing about monetization is it's done in such a greedy way. Like monetization could be done in the right way, but it's done in such a greedy way that the game starts to be intentionally made like bad. Like the game starts to have barriers and shit put intentionally in place that you have to buy your way through them. Like Overwatch, when Overwatch first came out, getting epic skins and things like that. If you guys remember like the first season with the golden guns and everything, like if you got enough points, you can get the golden weapons. I still have some of those on my characters. I played Overwatch a lot when it first came out. Now, if you get in there and play that shit, it's all like, buy the season, unlock the shit, like basically everything that was once free and gotten just by playing the game has been now coded in a way where you're basically not going to get anything really cool unless you're paying for it. And it's disgusting. That's part of why monetization does feel like it kills games, is because it's done in such a greedy way.
Everyone wants everything. The consumer wants great games free of paid influence at a cheap price. Publishers want as much money as possible, and developers want to be left alone and free from harassment on Twitter. But all 3 of these agendas have proven themselves to be incompatible with each other.
What the fuck's
It's like
going on
Twister.
there?
Everyone is bent out of shape. No one is entirely
Oh, no.
comfortable. There's loads of sexual tension, and everyone is drunk, apparently.
This video's taking
as
a
far as
turn.
MMOs are concerned, it seems that just as how new features are added over time, so too are methods that involve paying money to skip
Yep.
them. And to understand this monetization model,
Even the level skip in WoW, like the sad thing about the level skip is it incentivizes Blizzard to not make leveling fun, right? To go back and fix leveling. Now they are trying. It seems like they're actually trying to make it better with the new starting and Dragonflight and all that stuff. But it de-incentivizes the company from fixing things, because why would you fix it if you can actually make money because it's bad? People will skip it, right? They'll pay to skip it because it's not good, rather than you going back and fixing it for free. So, like I said, it de-incentivizes good games sometimes, or good gameplay.
and what direction it's headed, we need to tackle one simple concept. What is the most efficient path to the giant pile of money? Many today lament of the long past golden era of the MMORPG, one that came into its fold around the late 90s and early 2000s with releases such as Ultima Online, EverQuest, RuneScape, Asheron's Call, Dark Age of Camelot, Star Wars Galaxies, and of course World of Warcraft, for one simple fact. Though at this point they were all of course designed for financial gain, the method of doing so laid through addictive but fun game design and quality customer service.
Right, when WoW first came out, they were making all the money off the sub, and how do you keep people subbed? You make a really good game. That's what I'm talking about when I say monetization the right way. That's monetization in a way where the devs are incentivized to make the game good, because if the game is good, they're going to make more money. Whereas now, with all these microtransactions, you're actually incentivized to kind of, like I said, create shitty barriers really bad kind of game mechanics that have to be overcome by paying to overcome them. And that's why monetization feels like it kills things. But in reality, it's been around for a long time. It was around when WoW first came out. But it's a good kind of monetization instead of the shitty kind that we see a lot today.
Payment model for these games was as follows. You buy the box,
I miss the old 50.
You pay the generally $15 a month subscription and a $50 expansion every couple of years. Therefore, with this monetization,
I have ad blocker on this one.
In
There's
order
no
to
ads.
maximize profitability, the game must draw as many people as possible in order to sell as many boxes as possible and to gather as many subscriptions as possible. And when this pull for subscribers is a requirement, so too is quality game design. Game developers, or people who have dedicated their professional lives to the intricacies and nuances of game design, must constantly think of ways to keep their game engaging and their players engaged. Failing that, they risk losing them to another group of developers who can. This competitive environment favors the consumer because as competition increases, so too does product quality. Developers must fight each other for the player's time and money, as due to their time-consuming nature and expense, most can only afford to play one. Or, to put it simply, necessity is the mother of invention.
That's right.
But then came Patient Zero. One game had to come in and F it all up.
Oh,
the progenitor of the apocalypse that would start a chain of events that would redefine the industry. That's right.
I don't know what he's going to say. Oh. Okay, it's a paid mount or something. I was going to say, for me, honestly, what changed the gaming industry a lot was Fortnite. And I know that Fortnite was not the first to create monetization and seasons and everything else, but I feel like they were positive proof. They were a good example of a game that you launch free to play, and then you back end it with, all this stuff to buy, seasonal stuff, all these kinds of things. And that just created a money boom. Like, the amount of money that Fortnite could make was exponentially greater than having a seasonal or a monthly sub, because the monthly sub seemed like the most profitable way to do it. And then Fortnite came around and said, well, look how much people are willing to pay, right? If you make the game free, they'll pay for everything else. And that's, to me, what really changed things. Now, I don't know what he's going to say, some kind of mount or something.
That's right. The fucking horse armor in Oblivion.
Oblivion horse armor? I actually don't know about this.
Remember all of those foolish nerds who in 2006 were collectively losing their minds over cosmetic armor for their mount in a single-player video game?
Wait, how much was it? $12? Is that what it says in this comment here? There is one issue too. Oblivion costs $12 in store. Oh, but if you want all the add-ons, it's $70.
Their minds over cosmetic armor for their mount in a single-player video game. The doomsayers loitering on a street corner warning you to stop touching yourself because the end is nigh. Well, they were right.
You let that sink in.
Because after the horse armor came horses. After horses came other cosmetic-only items. After cosmetic-only items came actual items like armor and weapons. And after armor and weapons came currency.
Jesus.
After currency, levels.
Oh, no.
Unless it's classic World of Warcraft, because they did levels before currency. I told you so, by the way. Let's stop with the hyperbole for a moment here. Not all microtransactions are
I mean, this is the most disgusting version of microtransactions right here. He's showing right now loot boxes. That's disgusting, because that's straight up playing off of gambling tendencies. It's playing off of the never-ending just money pit. That is you trying to get something, not being able to buy it directly. It's literally gambling. And you're teaching little kids how to fucking gamble by creating loot boxes like this, where you're just paying for something, hoping that you get something out of it, and you know that the game is coded in a way where it's working against you. That's the fucked up thing about it. That's what was messed up about it. Like, yes, you could say that random luck happened when you fucking bought Pokemon cards, right? Right? But the thing is, the rarity was known, the scarcity was known, and the number was finite. Like, it went out in the bundle of cards. When you bought the cards, you knew what was in the deck was what you were going to get. The way this shit was coded, they could literally be fucking finagling it like after the transaction. They could see how many times you bought. They can have the chances pre-programmed to make you buy a certain amount before you ever get what you want. It's complete and utter garbage. And that's why it's different than, say, buying having your mom buy you Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon cards at the mall. It's way different.
created equal. And
It's
it's
worse.
not always that
Much
big of a
worse.
deal. I'd be a liar if I said that I didn't play and enjoy games that can be considered rather heavy with microtransactions.
There's no way to police it,
for
really.
games that I enjoy enough, yeah, I'll spend some money. I think that most people watching have done the same for games that they really enjoy, and it's simply where the path to the giant pile of money lies today. This video isn't meant to condemn all microtransactions across the board. It's more of an analysis in the context of a game that's largely defined by its addictive nature, as well as its focus on character progression that now sells you all forms of character progression. When the solutions to the obstacles are no longer most efficiently found with time, but instead your credit card.
Right.
It
They're
puts into question
incentivized.
the true intent of...
They're incentivized to create more obstacles. That's what I'm saying. That's why it creates bad games. They're incentivized to create a bad game with bad obstacles because you're going to pay to get over them because the in-game way to get over them is badly done intentionally. That's why this kind of monetization is so garbage.
Of game design.
See, only can.
Is it designed to improve user experience? Or rather, is it designed to improve its profitability at the cost of user experience?
Yep.
Do these inconveniences exist to be overcome with time and effort? Or do they exist to incentivize the user to spend money to solve them?
Yeah. This is why I hated the whole Shadowlands legendary creation system, because I felt like it was created intentionally in a bad way where you lost all your resources, you had to recreate the fucking legendary all over again, because it was incentivizing you to pay with gold, to use gold to recreate the legendary over and over. Blizzard put in walls to make you recreate the legendary over and over.
Why don't elephants have personal computers? Because they're afraid of the mouse. Good morning.
Thank you, Desi. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, they're afraid of the mouse. Good one. They were incentivizing you to buy the most WoW tokens I ever bought was in Shadowlands. I'd never bought a WoW token before Shadowlands. So that tells you, and mind you, this was COVID times when everyone was collecting extra money, sitting at home. I guarantee you, as shit as Shadowlands was, and as few people that played Shadowlands as there were, that was a hugely profitable expansion for them. I don't think we'll ever see those numbers, but I guarantee you it was profitable, extremely profitable, because of how many people had to continually buy WoW tokens to keep up with the rarity of the items needed to create those legendaries.
What exactly are the implications of adding different forms of character progression in a genre of game known for its addictive nature, and then constantly resetting and selling this character progression? Speaking further on the fundamentals of game design, the point is to outwit or outperform your opponent in some way on an even playing field. A game of chess is intriguing as you're witnessing a unique battle of wits between two different players. That same game of chess is made uninteresting if you can swipe a credit card when you're losing and buy queens. A 100-meter dash is interesting because you're watching two athletes push their bodies to their maximum, and it's made to be uninteresting if one of them gets to ride a horse. If a competitor can spend money to gain an advantage over those who don't, the playing field is no longer determined by time investment and skill, but instead financial investment. This betrays the very foundations of any competitive activity, and MMOs, much like most multiplayer games, are largely defined by their competitive characteristics, either directly through activities such as PvP, or indirectly through gear level, collections, and so on. One of the most common questions for any MMO is it too late to start? This is a question so prolific that it
I've had people ask that in chat
to its player base. Technically, of course, the real answer is no, but the real question
I will,
we're
except for the video.
Did I miss the train? Is there any point in starting right now, or will I be too far behind? This question could very well be asked by someone who doesn't ever plan on competing directly against another player, such as PvP, or maybe something such as raiding. Maybe they just plan on questing, hitting the max level, and quitting, but still, this idea that everyone other than them is substantially further progressed disincentivizes them to play because they feel so far behind.
It's a tough one. It's a tough interplay, because if the people who've been playing a long time are not ahead in some way, then all that time they put in is completely null and void. And the thing about an MMO is you do feel like the more time you put in, the more progression you make. So it is hard to kind of even the playing field when, at the end of the day, the person who has put in a lot of time doesn't want an even playing field. They don't. So it's a tough one. It's not pre-recorded. Freaking bitch.
Are far more limited. Their gear is far behind, meaning PvP will be an uphill climb. Getting into guilds will be tougher because comparatively they're less progressed than everyone else on the server. Purchasing things on the auction house is tougher as the economy has inflated, and so on. It's largely why fresh launches of MMOs are so exciting. As a new one launches, the floodgates are opened, everyone starts out together and
I joined that for a little while.
Discovering and solving the game. This itself is an incredibly attractive quality of the genre, but perhaps what is...
I will say part of what attracted me and a couple of my friends to New World was the fresh start aspect, where everybody was starting again new. That did feel kind of good. And it's one of the, people talk about WoW too. It's kind of what some people want, but it's also what a lot of people don't want. There's that, tug of war of, well, I put a lot of time into the game, I don't want to lose it. But there's the other side of the coin where I just want to go back to when it was simpler and everyone was starting new.
More attractive is that it's all done together at the same time. Therefore, it stands to reason that the ability to pay for progression has a negative effect on the game and its community, as it removes this ability to play on an even playing field. A player is only as geared as everyone else on their server. Their mount is only as rare as it is on their server. The number of achievements they have is only as high as everyone else's. The amount of pets, toys, PvP rank, in every MMO, no matter the circumstances, the players are competing against each other in some way.
That's true.
This is especially true if you're playing an MMO that has ways of filtering and identifying people based on how progressed their character is. If two people apply for a dungeon or a raid, and one spends money in order to inflate...
item level was gear score is what came out during Wrath of the Lich King. That was the add-on you would download, and it would give you a gear score. That was the first time, besides linking an achievement, that was the first time that you could legitimately look at a person, not have to go to WoW Army or anything, and determine if they have some skill or not. Now, obviously, gear doesn't equate to skill, but it was the first time that I felt like in the game you would get filtered out.
We hear nothing, you bitch rat.
That's not true, you fucking bitch.
Their gear level, and the other one doesn't. The latter is disadvantaged, and they therefore have fewer opportunities. Their gameplay experience is indirectly negatively impacted due to their desire for an unadulterated playing field, or the fact that they are broke. The appeal from MMORPGs largely come from the fact that they are multiplayer. The gameplay at times can be extremely tedious, its reward structure is largely random, and the rewards you earn are eventually made to be irrelevant. Looking at it with cold logic, it appears to be a rather blatant waste of time. But due to the simple fact that it's multiplayer, there's value and weight added to every action or accomplishment.
Right.
Gear matters because it allows one to perform better than others. The amount of currency
this is why people love tracking DPS. You know what this is? These bars are literally a measure of dick size. That's how people feel. That's the truth. You want to have the biggest dick in the raid. Everybody wants the biggest dick in the raid. Nobody wants to scroll down, see the small peepees. Everyone wants the big peepee. And that's what it is at the end of the day. That's why you go get the gear. That's why you grind the grinds you have to grind. That's why you care about having the best in slot items, is because you want to show up to the raid in front of all your friends or random people and lay it on the table. Be like, look at how big the peepee is. That's what it is. It comes down to that simple, innate, it's an internal human instinct. I want to have the biggest peepee. And that's what an MMO feeds off of.
And others...
Now, surgically paying for a big PP is not the same as a natural big PP. Everybody knows that, and that also remains true here, right? That's why paying to win is disgusting to a lot of people. People don't want to see big PPs that are paid for. They want to see a big PP that's a natural big PP. Enough talk about the PP.
Player, there's value and weight added to every action or accomplishment. Gear matters because it allows one to perform better than others. The amount of currency they have matters, so they can buy things from other people. How much they learn their class matters, as they'll perform better in PvP combat, and the range of their collection matters compared to everyone else on their server. If you were to take the multiplayer aspect away from it, it would most likely kill the genre. So therefore, it stands to reason that anything that harms this multiplayer aspect, such as paying for character progression, whether that be levels, currency, or even cosmetics, can harm the game in varying degrees. And it's because of this that the entire genre has been thrusted into a world of controversy, as the most powerful item is no longer a sword, nor a trinket, or a staff.
That picture was funny.
It's your credit card. And beyond that, A genre that revolves around microtransactions loses something arguably even more important.
It does. It kills the fantasy of the game, 100%. Like that's kind of what it's getting into. That the credit card is your best item or whatever, and it does kill the fantasy of the game because people go into the game to kind of escape life. And the truth is, real life is a pay to win adventure. Real life is pay to win. Somebody who was born into a family that's richer than yours, the dad's got more money than you, they are far more affluent than you. Guess where they're going to be in life when it comes to you? Far ahead. And you can catch up to them maybe, but you have a big fucking grind ahead of you to get to where they are because they start out ahead of you. Why? Because their life is pay to win. They already paid and they already won. And some people, when you play a game, you want to get away from that. You don't want the richest person in the room to be the best all the time. Sometimes you just want to go into your fantasy land where adventure and, your experiences are what matter more. And this kind of kills that.
Arguably even more important, innovation. In the before times, when the primary monetization model was through box sales and subscription fees, the path to the giant pile of money was through addicting but fun game design. It was in the developer's best interests to create a memorable, fun, and exciting experience. However, this monetization model is now seen as archaic. It's microtransactions, which dictate not just what is made, but also what isn't. Did you know that StarCraft 2, which sold millions of copies on its launch, was financially outperformed by a $15 horse mount in the
It's fucked, man. It's really fucked, but it's true. And that's the hard thing to debate against, right? Is like, how do you tell a company not to do these things when people are speaking with their wallets and saying, well, it's fine. We're buying them, so we're not that angry about it. It's a tough one.
Shop in World of Warcraft. Did you also know that in BlizzCon 2023, that StarCraft, one of the flagship franchises that defined Blizzard and made it what it is today, didn't even have a panel? But it makes sense. Why would you have hundreds of people spend years designing a game when you can have a single artist make a mount over a weekend that will financially outperform a sequel to a franchise that defined a genre? Why has it now been 11 years since the last Grand Theft Auto? Where's the urgency to make new installments in a timely fashion if you can just milk the previous?
Yeah.
In fact, in this sense,
GTA 6 will come out probably in 2030. Yep, 2030. We'll see GTA 6. My son will play GTA 6. I will be, just a wretched old man.
Releasing a sequel now holds a certain amount of risk because it seduces your own player base away from an aged, but still lucrative game. And it's not only their existence or lack thereof, but the quality of a product is determined by who it's influenced by, and who it's influenced by is determined by who makes the most amount of money.
Speak with your wallet.
If the most lucrative path to money is no longer good game design and is instead microtransactions, its design is no longer in control of the people who've dedicated their professional lives to game design, like developers. It's now in control of people who have dedicated their lives into getting as much money out of people in a genre of game that's defined by its addictive nature.
And some people try to make the argument that, well, if you make a good game, it's going to make more money over its lifetime. Like, if you make a game that's going to last 20 years, it's going to make more over the 20 years than if you, milk it for all it's worth for 3-4 years and you kill it off because people got sick of all the microtransactions. The truth is, while that might be true, you know how long a CEO's average lifespan is? Let's see. What's the average CEO turnover? Let's see. What's the average CEO turn? Let's see how long the average. 5 years. 5 years. Okay. That's what I see here. CEO turnover hits 5-year high. Okay, hold on. I'm reading that wrong. Russell 300 in 2019. The average CEO was a 9.4% success rate. I want to see how long they lifespan. I don't know. Lifespan. No, this is not right. Career length. I'm searching wrong terms here. 10 years, 7.2 years. 7.2 years. Okay, the average CEO 10 years, 7.2 years. So why would that fucking standing CEO care about how much money the game is going to make 20 years from now? They don't. They're going to care about how much money is the game going to make in the next 5 years. That's typically how long I'm going to be around for, 7 years, say, right? So that's what they're operating on. They're operating on a maybe 5 to 10-year max outlook. Really, they care about, it's like a 2 to 5 year, because they want to keep their job, right? They want to keep going. They want to keep profits high and all that shit. So they're incentivized to create games that make a shit ton of money very quick and then die off. It's a money-motivated thing, 100%. That's what it is. So if you're wondering, like, whoa, why is the CEO such a fucking idiot? This game could be around for 20 years. They don't give a shit. They're going to be retired. They're going to be gone in 7 years. They don't care about what the game's making in 20 years. And that's the sad truth. It comes down to the money.
This is why in many of these franchises now, instead of getting innovative game design, you get innovative ways of extracting money out of you. And you see this reflected when the quality of a product decreases while earnings increase. It's because the people in charge are no longer those who understand the product, because it's no longer required in order to earn money. This becomes more harmful the more monopolistic the genre is, as there are now fewer alternatives to turn to as their quality declines. In this way, the dominating success of World of Warcraft.
Azorium, that's very true. Look at Blizzard. Look at Activision Blizzard. Yeah, they're looking, you said, honestly, they are looking to sell the company most of the time. If they can't get a company to a point where they can sell it, the golden parachute is insane. Very true. Blizzard Activision is the perfect example of that. In fact, Blizzard worked until it was able to be sold to Activision, and then Activision Blizzard built itself up in quick profits until it was able to be sold to Microsoft. It's like the bigger the fish, the bigger fish keeps eating the smaller fish. That's what they're trying to do. That's very true. That's a lot of people's goals and when they're running a company, is how can I make us the most valuable and then get us purchased by one of the giants out there like a Microsoft, Microsoft's never going to be purchased. It's too big. But that's the end game, is get purchased by the biggest fish in the pond. Very true.
Would both reinvigorate and stifle the genre.
What happens is, like with John Scully, John came from PepsiCo, and they at most would change their product, once every 10 years. I mean, to them, a new product was like a new size bottle, right? So if you were a product person, you couldn't change the course of that company very much. So who influenced the success of PepsiCo? The sales and marketing people. Therefore, they were the ones that got promoted, and therefore they were the ones that ran the company.
Makes sense.
Well, for PepsiCo, that might have been okay, but it turns out the same thing can happen in technology companies that get monopolies, like IBM and Xerox. If you're
IBM's
a
fucking
product
dead
person
now.
at IBM or Xerox, so you make a better copy or a better computer. So what? When you have a monopoly market share, the company's not any more successful.
He's right.
So the people that can make the company more successful are sales and marketing people. And they end up running the companies. And the product...
Dude, this is what happened to WoW. He's totally right. There was no competition for a long time in the MMORPG market. World of Warcraft just sat on its laurels being the biggest dick in the room, and no competition was around to be seen, and basically there was no reason to innovate, no reason to get better. So what, you make a better copier? Damn, Steve Jobs knew it, man. He's totally right. And that's what happened with WoW. And until, honestly, and I said it for a long time, I was like, you guys are hating on Final Fantasy. Some people used to come in chat and hate on Final Fantasy players. I'd be like, they're going to help the game. Final Fantasy is going to help World of Warcraft. Because finally there's going to be an outlet for players to go to, and they're going to have to get better. They're going to have to innovate again. For sure. He's totally right. Hello, saw you watching Bellular, and here I am. What's up, Harry? Welcome in.
People get driven out of the decision-making forums. And the companies forget what it means to make great products.
Who took over Blizzard? Who took over the games and everything else?
Servant, we have a realm to destroy.
Harry Zeri, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. It was like the marketing and the analytics guys. Those were the guys that took over the game creation over at Blizzard Activision. And that's why we started to see more monetary-driven decisions rather than gaming-driven decisions.
It sort of the product sensibility and the product genius that brought them to that monopolistic position gets rotted out by people running these companies who have no conception of a good product
He predicted
versus
all
a bad
this shit.
product. They have no conception of the craftsmanship that's required to take a good idea and turn it into a good product.
So true.
And they really have no feeling in their hearts, usually, about wanting to really help the customers. So
Bobby
that's what
Kotick.
happened at Xerox. The people at Xerox PARC used to call the people that ran Xerox toner heads. And they just had, and these toner heads would come out to Xerox PARC, and they just had no clue about what they were seeing.
And for our audience, toner is what?
Oh, toner. Toner is what you put into a copier. Yeah, the toner that you add to an industrial copier.
The black stuff.
The black stuff, yeah. So basically they were copier heads that just had no clue about a computer or what it could do. And so they just grabbed defeat from the greatest victory in the computer industry. Xerox could have owned the entire computer industry today.
If I could drop the ball.
A company 10 times its size. Could have been
Same
IBM.
with IBM.
Could have been the IBM of the 90s. Could have been.
He said could have been the IBM, and literally, you know where IBM is today? I know because I track their patent portfolio as part of my job, just to track the competition. They're fucking in the gutter. IBM has gone to complete and utter shit. They don't innovate on anything. They don't file patents. They used to be the #1 patent filer in the world. That means they were inventing more than anybody else in the world. Today, they fucking dropped off like a freaking rocket ship with no fuel, falling to the ground. It's insane where they have fallen to, how hard the times have gotten at IBM, and it's the same concept. He's saying right here they could be IBM. IBM now looks back and says they could have been Apple. That's the truth.
Been the Microsoft of the 90s. So, but anyway, that's all ancient history. It doesn't really matter anymore.
Sure.
The amount of money that developers make and the quality of their game is often inverse, because if they are to make more money, that means the method of doing so are through this path. But one final question remains. What can be done about it? The answer lies in competition, as it once more steers the most lucrative option to be hooking players through fun and innovative and unique game design. The MMO industry, as it stands, is monopolistic. You have World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, RuneScape, and then everything else. Really, right now, what's hurting the industry is a lack of competition, as the more competitive MMOs there are, the higher quality each developer needs to make their game, because they're now competing once more for the consumer's $15 a month.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. The genre just isn't as appealing as it once was, and a lot of this is completely out of control of the developers. Back when the internet was first being discovered by the mainstream, the concept of interacting with others in a virtual, persistent world was exciting. Not only this, but many other features that used to make the genre unique have been adopted into many other types of games. It's no longer unique to have a big world, or multiple forms of character progression, or RPG-like loot. And beyond this, one of its biggest draws, its social nature, has been sapped away by the evolution of social media. There's no one asking questions because the answers are immediately available with a simple Google search.
Right there.
Guilds and communities now interact through third-party software, which leaves a quiet and seemingly antisocial experience in the actual game. And not only all of this, but the industry remains to be monopolistic because a sizable portion of the player base is in the stranglehold of addiction, tribalism, and the sunk cost fallacy. It's no longer 2004. These games have been running for years, or decades even. It's easy to walk away from Call of Duty number 617 and go to the newest FPS
I can
release,
talk about a franchise that's been
Call
milked.
of Duty number 617 is designed to end. The player base hasn't been playing this particular installment for 20 years. It's not so simple to walk away from something that A, you've been playing for the majority of your adult life, and B, is designed to never end, and C, is made to be addictive and to keep you from walking away. Not everyone who plays the genre are addicted, but there are people who love MMOs, but they hate leveling, so they buy levels.
I don't buy fucking character boosts. I get them with my expansions every once in a while. And I think I have unspent character boosts because I only play my main, really. But the thing is, I don't mind being addicted to a game if it's created to be fun. If it's not, then there's a problem.
But they hate
addicted to a shitty game is a bad
so
thing.
They buy it. They love MMOs, but they don't have the time nor desire to join a guild and learn raid progression. So they use that currency they bought to buy raid carries. They love MMOs, but they don't have time to learn PvP matchups, so they buy PvP carries. They love MMOs, and they want their character to look cool, but they don't have the time nor desire to earn it, so they buy it. Nor do they want to grind out a cool-looking mount or cosmetic set, so they buy all of this from the cash shop. They claim to love the game so much, yet still, they will pay an obscene amount of money to not play it. Some people just see something they like, and they buy it, and that's it. There's no deep psychological analysis to be held. But the truth of the matter is that video game developers, particularly those within the mobile and MMO industries, have tuned into their structure and addictive qualities. There have been instances of developers teaming up with licensed psychologists who study the human brain and why and how people become addicted to games, and they design them to exploit that as much as possible.
Sometimes it's the smallest thing that gets you hooked on playing a game. I'll be honest, you know what got me hooked on Overwatch for a while? I was a Hanzo main. Now, that's a meme in and of itself, but you know why I loved playing Hanzo? For the little ticking beep that you would hear when you headshot somebody, the skull that would appear on the screen. You know that sound? If you played the game, you know what I'm talking about? It was just like a beep, and it would fucking go off if you headshot somebody perfectly. Oh my god, how addictive and dopamine releasing that fucking sound was. And I used to chase it, man. I'd play Hanzo nonstop just so I can headshot people and hear the ding little beep. It's those little things. Those little things get you hooked into a game. They get you used to the dopamine rise you get out of it. And it could be, like I said, something as simple as a sound that gets you hooked on a game.
For Overwatch 1 in 2017, Activision Blizzard patented a matchmaking system where instead of matching players based solely off of skill level, which would result in a better user experience for everyone involved, the system would instead look at the playtime of your characters, determine what your favorite one was, and then try to match you against someone with the same main who has a skin that you don't have. This, of course, is done to subtly manipulate you into buying more microtransactions directly at the cost of user experience. Some countries, luckily, have tuned in to this predation, and they've started cracking down on the more addicting elements, such as loot boxes. Completely coincidentally, I'm sure, by the way, that Overwatch 2, now that the promised PvE mode has been yeeted, is basically the same game as Overwatch 1. The main difference being its payment model is now FOMO battle passes, as opposed to the increasingly banned and scrutinized loot boxes. But I digress.
Surprise.
And all of this isn't even getting into dopamine, where there's actually a chemically altering drug involved. And much like most substances, the more you use it, the more resistant you become to it. As the thrill of progression dampens, it's no longer as exciting. And to compensate for that, the player then turns to the conveniently placed microtransaction to achieve the same high.
True.
I love the MMO genre, and I think I always will. To me, it's the most interesting genre of game.
It's my favorite,
It was social media before the term social media was invented. And maybe why I love it so much is because I was pretty spoiled. I had the privilege of playing it when innovation was not innovative, because that's where the path to the giant
Happy to be born when I was.
And as a result of this, each one seemed to be completely unique from each other. This video isn't meant to scare you away from them. They can still be really fun, particularly if you have friends to play them with. That itself can make up a lot of ground.
100%.
MMOs and multiplayer games in general are kind of like a beer that tastes like urine. By itself, maybe it's not too great, but if it's with friends, it tastes just a little bit better.
What? What is he talking about? I'm not going to drink urine with friends. What? That's a fucking horrible example.
And they can also be incredibly addictive. This video isn't condemning all games that have microtransactions. There are great games out there that have them, and they don't automatically make them unplayable. And there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with spending a few extra bucks on a favorite game. What I'm saying is that, at times, it can definitely be taken too far, and I think it's important to navigate them guardedly, especially if you are someone who has an addictive personality. Regardless of all of that, always remember that the most important thing is to like this video and to buy my microtransaction by becoming a channel member for a 3-day early access head start to all of my videos.
There it is.
But other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
You could hear him almost laughing as he would say that at the end. Look, great video. Great video, and it hits at a lot of the main points. And the thing is, like, yes, the social aspect, it is what it is.
See you again soon.
And that's why I play on Twitch. That's why I started streaming, is because I miss the social aspect of the game. And whether or not, you know, people could just do microtransactions to avoid doing the social stuff in the game, you know, that's another thing that kind of sucks. All in all, money and games can be friends if done correctly. The problem is the freaking predatory way microtransactions have been used and the way that it's literally led to worse game development. That's why microtransactions have hijacked the soul of MMORPGs. Nice video from Mad Season.